Why Illinois is the most landed on property in Monopoly. First, the rules. The rules to Monopoly are pretty simple. You need a win. Now, to know why Illinois is the most landed on property in Monopoly, we have to first understand what a Markov chain is. Here's some math. Let's leave that to the nerds. Instead, here's an example. Suppose you have two states. You can either be a non-smoker or a smoker. If you're a non-smoker, you can either stay that way or hit the cigarettes. Suppose the probability of you staying a non-smoker is 3/4, and the probability of switching over to become a smoker is 1/4. And conversely, if you are a smoker, you have a 1/2 probability of staying a smoker and a 1/2 probability of quitting. Also assume you have the same probability each month, and what you were more than a month ago doesn't affect the probability of what you'll be next month. This can be written in what is called a transition probability matrix. The probability of being a non-smoker and remaining a non-smoker is 3/4. The probability of being a non-smoker and now becoming a smoker is 1/4. The probability of being a smoker and now becoming a non-smoker is 1/2. And the probability of being a smoker and remaining a smoker is 1/2. Call this matrix P. If you initially have 500 non-smokers and 100 smokers, then you can find out how many will be in each state next month by multiplying the two matrices. This is done by multiplying the initial condition by each column as such. This makes sense since 3/4 of the non-smokers remain non-smokers and half the smokers quit. So how many smokers and non-smokers are there after 2 months? You multiply the initial condition by the transition matrix squared. As a short aside, this is how you square a matrix. Now that that's out of the way, how about after 3 months? Why, it's just the initial condition times p to the third. How about after a really long time? That is p to the infinity. If initial condition A is that there are 500 non-smokers and 100 smokers, and condition C is that there are 100 non-smokers and 500 smokers, either way, over time there seems to be about 400 non-smokers and 200 smokers. So the final amount of non-smokers and smokers times the probability matrix should equal itself. In this way, if you let B be a variable and solve for it, you should get the final amount of smokers and non-smokers. Okay, now back to Monopoly. There are 40 spots on the Monopoly board. We can make a Markov chain of the Monopoly board. With the probabilities of moving to the next spaces, the probabilities of rolling those numbers with the dice. The probability of rolling any number with 2 dice is given by the following distribution. There are 36 combinations that can be rolled with 2 6-sided dice. So for example, a 2 can only be rolled if you roll a 1 with both dice, and the probability is 1/36. The transition probability matrix of the Monopoly board should look something like this. So for example, the probability of being on Go and staying on Go is 0, but the probability of being on Go and going to community chess is 1/36. Then you can just set up this equation and solve for B. Actually, it's a little harder than that. This doesn't account for if you roll double 3 times and go to jail, or how long it takes for you to get doubles and get out of jail. But it's pretty close. Here's a list of the top 10 most landed on spots in Monopoly. -1 because I ran out of room. To the right is the percent of time you'll spend on that spot in a long game. As you can see, even though Illinois is the most landed on property, it's not by very much. So the best strategy is not to try to get Illinois, but rather try to get the orange Monopoly for games with little money and the green Monopoly for games with a lot of money, that is, games where you get money for rolling snake eyes or box carts. I'm only going to explain the not a lot of money situation. Here, the green or blue properties are too expensive to ever build enough houses on to make money back from. So we're only going to look at the yellow and orange properties. In this case, you'll never really have more than about $1,500 to spend on houses or hotels. So we want to know which gets more bang for your buck. The expected return is the probability of landing on that spot times the amount of money you'll make from that spot, and can be interpreted as the average someone will spend when they go around the board once. The orange property has a higher expected return, so it's a better investment. And that's why orange is the best property in this situation. Hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe.